The morning sun barely peeked over the horizon when I, Lorraine, turned to my daughter Elise, her eyes heavy with sleep yet alert to the gravity of the moment. "It's time," I said, my voice a blend of determination and a whisper of fear. "Time to leave him and take back our lives." Elise, just 15, looked at me, her expression a mirror of my own resolve. Without a word, she nodded, and we began to pack. The silence of our suburban home wrapped around us like a cocoon, a stark contrast to the storm raging in my heart. We moved quietly, efficiently, leaving behind the life we had known, the life with Derek. Derek, my husband, had become a stranger, his actions a shadow that loomed over our family, darkening each day. Today, we stepped out of that shadow. With each item we packed, I felt a piece of my fear shed, replaced by a burgeoning sense of freedom. We left him a note, a promise of change, a hint of the revenge that was to brew. It was succinct, a final goodbye to a chapter of our lives that had seen too much betrayal, too much neglect. "We are leaving, Derek. Do not look for us. The next time we meet, things will be different." I locked the door to our middle-class home, its facade a stark contrast to the turmoil within. The early morning air was cool, a balm to my frayed nerves. Elise and I got into the car, the back seat filled with our belongings, the essentials of a life we were determined to reclaim. As we drove away, I glanced at Elise through the rearview mirror. She was staring out the window, a mix of sadness and relief in her eyes. I knew this moment was a turning point, not just for me, but for her as well. "Mom," she finally spoke, her voice steady, "I'm proud of us." That statement, simple yet profound, bolstered my resolve. We were leaving behind a past marred by pain, but we were stepping into a future that we would shape on our terms. The road ahead was uncertain, yet the promise of freedom, of a life reclaimed, filled me with an unshakable determination. Our destination was unknown, but our purpose was clear. We would not be victims of our circumstances. We would rise, fight, and reclaim what was rightfully ours. This was not just an end, but a beginning. A beginning marked by courage, by the refusal to be silenced, and by the promise of retribution. As the sun rose higher, casting light on the path ahead, I felt a sense of empowerment wash over me. The early morning's tranquility was not just a backdrop to our departure. It was a symbol of the new dawn that awaited us. A dawn where we, Lorraine and Elise, would no longer be defined by the shadows of the past, but by the strength of our resolve and the certainty of our revenge. This was our ultimatum, not just to Derek, but to the world. We were taking back our lives, on our terms. And this journey, fraught with the unknown, was our testament to the power of resilience, of empowerment, and of the unbreakable bond between a mother and her daughter. As we left the suburban neighborhood behind, I knew one thing for certain. We were not running away. We were moving forward, towards a future that belonged to us and us alone. The weeks following our departure from Derek's grasp were filled with relentless work and unwavering determination. Maxine, my business partner and longtime friend, had been my rock. Together, we poured every ounce of our energy into the salon, transforming it from a modest neighborhood gem into a bustling center of beauty and empowerment. One crisp morning, as the salon buzzed with the lively chatter of clients and the hum of hair dryers, Maxine approached me, a smile spreading across her face. "Lorraine, have you seen the latest reviews?" "We're being called the best salon in town," she exclaimed, her eyes sparkling with pride. I couldn't help but smile back, the weight of the past weeks momentarily lifted. "We did it, Maxine. We really did it," I replied, allowing myself a moment of pride. But even as we celebrated our success, flashes of Derek's betrayal gnawed at the edges of my triumph. His neglect had been the catalyst for my newfound independence, a bitter reminder woven into my victory. As the day wore on, the salon remained a hive of activity. Amidst the flurry of appointments, a new client walked in, her presence almost commanding the room to still. "I'm here for Lorraine," she announced, her voice laced with an authority that piqued my curiosity. I greeted her, leading her to my station. "What can I do for you today?" I asked, my professional demeanor in place. As we discussed her preferences, the conversation took an unexpected turn. "You're quite the talk of the town, Lorraine, not just for your salon, but for leaving Derek." "Bold move," she said, her gaze locking onto mine, searching. Her words, sharp and unexpected, caught me off guard. "It was a necessary decision, for me and my daughter," I replied, my voice steady despite the churn of emotions her mention of Derek ignited. The client nodded, a hint of respect in her demeanor. "Well, it's impressive. You're doing what many wish they could," she added, before the conversation returned to the safety of hairstyling preferences. Later that day, as Maxine and I closed the salon, the weight of the client's words lingered. "Maxine, do you ever think about how much Derek's betrayal actually pushed us to this success?" I asked, locking the front door and facing the reality of my reflections. Maxine paused, her expression thoughtful. "I think it showed us how strong you really are, Lorraine. You turned pain into power. Not everyone can do that," she said, her voice imbued with admiration and sincerity. That night, as I lay in bed, the silence of my new apartment enveloping me, thoughts of Derek invaded my peace. His actions, once a source of anguish, had unwittingly paved the path to my empowerment. It was a cruel irony, one that fueled my resolve to seek revenge, not just for me, but for Elise too. The following weeks saw Lorraine's salon flourish even more, our reputation built on skill, dedication, and an undercurrent of empowerment. Yet, the success was bittersweet. Each achievement was a reminder of what had propelled me here, Derek's deceit. One afternoon, as I was tidying up after a long day, a familiar figure appeared at the salon's door. My heart froze as I recognized Derek, his face a mix of arrogance and desperation. "Lorraine, we need to talk," he said, stepping inside uninvited, his presence a dark cloud in my sanctuary. "There's nothing to talk about, Derek. You lost that right when you chose to betray our family," I replied, my voice calm but laced with an underlying strength. Derek scoffed, his vile nature surfacing. "You think you're better off without me? That salon and this newfound independence? It's all a joke. You'll come crawling back," he taunted, his words intended to wound. But I stood firm, my resolve unshaken. "I've built something from your betrayal, Derek, something you can't touch or take credit for. I'm not the same woman you deceived. This salon, my life, it's mine." "And I will protect it at all costs," I declared, my voice rising with conviction. Derek's face twisted in anger, but I could see the realization dawning on him. He had underestimated me, and now he was seeing the consequences of his actions. As he left, the door closing behind him, I turned back to my salon, my sanctuary. It was a symbol of my strength, of my journey from betrayal to empowerment. And though the path to revenge was just beginning, I knew I had already won the first battle. The weeks following Derek's unexpected visit to the salon were filled with a tense anticipation. His words, though meant to belittle, only fueled my resolve further. Yet, amidst the daily grind and the successes of the salon, a gnawing curiosity took root within me. Derek's arrogance hinted at secrets yet uncovered, prompting me to delve deeper into the life he had led behind my back. It was a late evening at the salon, the sun casting long shadows across the floor. When Maxine approached me, a look of concern etched on her face. "Lorraine, there's something you need to see," she said, her voice low, handing me an envelope that had been left at our doorstep. The envelope bore no name, but its contents were explosive. Photographs, receipts, and a string of emails laid bare Derek's betrayal in a way I had never imagined. There, in stark black and white, was evidence of his affair with Cassidy, a woman much younger than me, and the financial deceit that had drained our savings. My hands trembled as I sifted through the evidence, each piece a dagger to my heart. But amidst the pain, a cold, hard determination settled over me. This was the catalyst I needed, the final push towards enacting my revenge. The next day, armed with the evidence of Derek's duplicity, I confronted him. I found him at a local cafe, his demeanor one of casual indifference. As I approached, his smile faded, replaced by a look of apprehension. "Derek," I began, my voice steady despite the storm raging within me, "did you really think you could hide this from me forever?" I tossed the envelope onto the table in front of him, the evidence of his affair and deceit laid bare. He scrambled to gather the contents, his facade crumbling. "Lorraine, I can explain," he stammered, his eyes darting around, seeking an escape that wasn't there. "Explain? Explain how you betrayed our family? How you stole our future for your selfish desires?" I demanded, my voice rising, attracting the attention of those around us. Derek's face flushed with shame, or perhaps anger at being exposed. "It wasn't like that, you don't understand," he tried to deflect, his words a feeble attempt at justification. "I understand perfectly," I countered, my resolve unwavering. You chose yourself over us, over everything we built together. But you know what, Derek? This ends now. You will pay for what you've done. His attempt to reach out to me was met with cold rejection. Lorraine, please, let's talk about this, he pleaded, a hint of desperation in his voice. But I was done talking. There's nothing left to discuss. You'll hear from my lawyer, I declared, turning on my heel and leaving him in the wake of his own ruin. The days that followed were a blur of legal consultations and strategic planning. I was determined to reclaim what was rightfully mine and Elise's. The evidence of Derek's affair and financial deceit was damning, providing me with the leverage I needed to secure our future. Amidst the chaos, I found solace in the salon, in the community we had built. Maxine and the rest of the staff rallied around me, their support a constant reminder of the strength that comes from unity. One evening, as I closed up the salon, a sense of clarity washed over me. This was more than just a personal vendetta. It was a fight for justice, for every woman who had been wronged and underestimated. As I locked the door, I looked back at the salon, a symbol of resilience and empowerment. Derek's betrayal had ignited a fire within me, a fire that would not be quenched until justice was served. With each step I took away from the salon, my resolve hardened. The road ahead was fraught with challenges, but I was ready. Ready to confront the past, to secure our future, and to show Derek that his actions would not go unpunished. This was the beginning of my revenge, a journey that would test my limits but ultimately lead to our liberation. Derek had underestimated me, a mistake he would soon come to regret. The day of the confrontation was one marked by a tumultuous blend of anticipation and resolve. The public setting for this showdown had been carefully chosen, a bustling community event where Derek's facade of respectability would be most vulnerable. It was here, amid the unsuspecting crowd, that I planned to unveil the truth of his deceit. As I navigated through the crowd, the weight of the evidence against Derek felt like a tangible force, driving me forward. My heart raced, not with fear, but with the unyielding desire for justice. When I finally spotted him, surrounded by acquaintances, his laughter cut through the din, igniting a spark of righteous indignation within me. "Derek," I called out, my voice carrying over the murmurs of the crowd. His laughter ceased as he turned, his expression shifting from amusement to apprehension upon seeing me. "Lorraine, what are you doing here?" he asked, attempting to mask his unease with a veneer of cordiality. "I'm here to expose you for what you truly are," I replied, loud enough for those nearby to hear, drawing their attention to our exchange. The crowd's chatter dwindled into silence, their eyes now fixed on us with a mixture of curiosity and anticipation. Derek's face paled, the realization of his imminent public humiliation dawning on him. "What are you talking about, Lorraine? Let's discuss this privately." He attempted to deflect, reaching for my arm in a feigned gesture of reconciliation. I stepped back, evading his touch. "There's nothing private about betrayal, Derek. Or should I say about your affair and how you've drained our finances for your selfish desires?" My voice, steady and loud, echoed through the space, each word a strike against the facade he had so meticulously constructed. The crowd murmured, their gazes shifting between Derek and me, the air charged with tension. Derek's acquaintances, once amiable, now looked on with a mix of shock and disdain. "Lorraine, you're mistaken. This isn't the place." Derek started, but I cut him off, no longer willing to allow him the comfort of denial. "I'm mistaken? Is that why I have these?" I brandished the photographs and emails, the undeniable evidence of his infidelity and deceit. "Tell me, Derek, were these just mistakes too?" I demanded, my voice unyielding. The silence that followed was deafening, the crowd's eyes now glued to the evidence in my hands. Derek's face contorted with rage and humiliation, his usual composure shattered under the weight of his exposed sins. "This is ridiculous. You're taking this too far, Lorraine," he hissed, a venomous undertone to his words. "Too far? You've destroyed our family, Derek. You've lied and cheated, and now you'll face the consequences," I retorted, my resolve unwavering. The whispers among the crowd grew louder, a cacophony of judgment directed at Derek. His reputation, once unblemished, now lay in tatters at his feet. As he glanced around, seeking an ally, finding none, the reality of his situation seemed to finally sink in. "I'll make you pay for this, Lorraine. You'll regret it," Derek threatened, his voice barely audible over the crowd's murmurs. But I stood firm, my gaze locked on his. I already have, Derek. The moment I decided to no longer be a victim of your deceit, I won. You're nothing but a coward, and everyone here can see it. With that, I turned away from him, leaving him to face the judgment of the community he had so deeply deceived. The crowd parted for me, their looks of sympathy and respect a stark contrast to the scorn directed at Derek. As I walked away, the weight of the confrontation lifted from my shoulders, replaced by a sense of liberation. The battle was far from over, but today marked a significant victory. Derek's public shaming was just the beginning of his downfall, a downfall that I had promised would come. The path ahead was clear, my resolve stronger than ever. This confrontation was not just for me, but for every woman who had been wronged and underestimated. Derek's humiliation was a message, loud and clear. The truth would always prevail, and justice, however delayed, would be served. In the days following the confrontation, the ripple effects of Derek's public shaming became apparent. His once respected name was now tarnished, a topic of whispered gossip and disdainful looks. However, the satisfaction of his downfall was tempered by the knowledge that true victory, the securing of my and Elise's future, lay in the execution of a meticulously crafted plan. The plan was simple in its essence but complex in its execution. It required precision, legal knowledge, and most importantly, an unwavering resolve. My first step was to meet with my lawyer, a sharp-witted woman named Georgia, whose reputation for tenacity in the courtroom was unmatched. As I laid out the details of Derek's betrayal, the evidence of his affair, and the financial deceit that had jeopardized our future, Georgia listened intently, her eyes reflecting the fire that fueled my own determination. Lorraine, with this evidence, we have a strong case for a favorable divorce settlement. But we can go further. We can ensure that your business and assets are protected, and that Derek pays for his deceit, Georgia explained, outlining a strategy that would leverage the legal system to our advantage. The plan involved a series of legal maneuvers designed to expose and penalize Derek's actions. It would not only secure my financial independence, but also serve as a decisive blow in our battle for justice. Georgia, I want to make sure he can't harm us again. I want to secure everything for Elise, I stated, my voice firm with resolve. Georgia nodded, her expression one of fierce determination. He won't know what hit him. We'll make sure of that. The following weeks were a whirlwind of legal filings, meetings, and preparations. Amidst this, I maintained my focus on the salon, which had become a beacon of empowerment and resilience, not just for me, but for the community that supported us. One evening, as I was closing up the salon, Maxine approached me, her usual bright demeanor replaced by a seriousness that immediately caught my attention. Lorraine, there's talk around town. Derek's feeling the heat, not just socially but professionally. You've struck a nerve, she said, her voice a mix of concern and admiration. Good. He should feel the consequences of his actions. But this is just the beginning, Maxine. I've set in motion a plan that will ensure he pays for everything he's done, I replied, my words carrying the weight of my intentions. Maxine nodded, her support unwavering. I'm with you, Lorraine. We all are. You've turned your pain into power, and it's inspiring. The day of the final court hearing arrived with a tension that was almost palpable. Derek, looking visibly diminished, was a stark contrast to the confident man he once was. The evidence against him was overwhelming, leaving him with little room to maneuver. As Georgia presented our case, detailing the extent of Derek's betrayal and financial deceit, I watched Derek closely. His attempts to maintain a facade of indifference crumbled as the reality of his situation became undeniable. The judge's ruling was swift and unequivocal. I was awarded a favorable divorce settlement, including a significant portion of Derek's assets and full custody of Elise. Additionally, measures were put in place to protect my business and secure our financial future. As we left the courtroom, I felt a burden lift, a chapter closing on a painful period of our lives. But more than relief, I felt a sense of empowerment. The plan had worked, not just in securing our future, but in delivering justice. Mom, you did it, Elise said, her voice filled with pride and admiration as we walked out into the sunlight, the future ahead of us bright and unwavering. Yes, we did, Elise. Together, I replied, taking her hand in mine. The road to this point had been fraught with challenges, but we had emerged stronger, our bond unbreakable. Derek's downfall was a testament to the power of resilience and the pursuit of justice. But more than that, it was a declaration of our liberation from his toxic influence. As we moved forward, the salon thriving and our lives rebuilt on our terms, the legacy of our struggle was not one of victimhood, but of victory. The plan had not only secured our future, but had laid the foundation for a new beginning, one where empowerment, resilience, and justice were not just ideals, but realities we lived by. And as I looked to the future, I knew that no matter what challenges lay ahead, we were ready to face them, together. The fallout from the courtroom victory was swift and severe for Derek. His professional life, much like his personal one, began to crumble under the weight of his actions. The news of his deceit and the public shaming that followed had made its way through his network, tarnishing his reputation beyond repair. One afternoon, as I was reviewing inventory at the salon, Maxine rushed in, her eyes alight with a mix of excitement and disbelief. "Lorraine, have you heard? Derek's firm let him go. The news of his affair and the court case has made him untouchable," she said, barely able to contain her eagerness to share the news. A part of me felt a pang of satisfaction, knowing that Derek was finally facing the consequences of his actions. "Karma has a way of catching up, doesn't it?" I replied, allowing myself a moment to savor the news. "But that's not all," Maxine continued, her voice dropping to a whisper. "Word is he's been forced to sell his car and downsize. He's losing everything." The news, though expected, still stirred a complex web of emotions within me. The man who had once held our lives in his careless hands was now experiencing the very instability and loss he had inflicted on us. Later that week, as I closed up the salon, a sense of reflective calm washed over me. The streets were quiet, the usual hustle of the day settling into the serene promise of the evening. It was then I saw Derek, a shadow of his former self, sitting alone on a bench across the street. His head was in his hands, a universal sign of defeat. Curiosity, mixed with an undeniable pull of old ties, led me across the street to him. "Derek," I called out, my voice void of the bitterness that once colored our interactions. He looked up, startled, his eyes meeting mine. The arrogance that once defined him was gone, replaced by a vulnerability I had never seen in him before. "Lorraine, I don't know what to say," he stammered, his voice barely above a whisper. "There's nothing to say, Derek. I came to see for myself if the rumors were true," I replied, my stance firm yet devoid of malice. "They are," he admitted, looking away. "I've lost everything. My job, my reputation. I never thought it would come to this." The sight of him, so broken, stirred a complex emotion within me. Not pity, but perhaps the acknowledgement of the full circle his actions had brought him to. "Derek, you chose this path. You betrayed our family, our trust. You chose your desires over everything we built together," I said, the truth of the words heavy in the air between us. "I know, and I'll regret it for the rest of my life," he said, his voice cracking with the weight of his realization. The conversation was brief, but in those few moments, the finality of our shared past and the separate paths our futures would take became crystal clear. As I walked away, leaving Derek to his reflections, a sense of closure enveloped me. The next day, Elise and I spent the morning at the salon, planning for an upcoming community event. The salon had become more than just a business. It was a sanctuary, a place of empowerment and new beginnings. "Mom, you've turned something so painful into something so beautiful. This salon, what it represents." "It's incredible," Elise said, her eyes scanning the vibrant space that had become a testament to our journey. "It wasn't just me, Elise. It was us and the support of this community. We've shown that from pain can come strength, from betrayal, independence," I replied, my heart full with the knowledge of our shared resilience. As the day drew to a close, the satisfaction of Derek's karmic downfall was overshadowed by the realization of what we had built in its wake. Our victory was not found in his loss, but in our ability to rise above it, to forge a path marked by strength, dignity, and the unwavering support of those who had stood by us through the darkest of times. Derek's downfall was a stark reminder of the price of betrayal, but more importantly, it was a backdrop to the story of our triumph. A triumph not defined by revenge, but by the reclaiming of our lives and the creation of a future defined by our terms, our values, and our unwavering resolve to never be defined by the actions of another. The weeks that followed Derek's downfall were a mix of quiet contemplation and relentless forward motion. The salon was thriving, a vibrant hub that not only offered beauty services, but had become a symbol of resilience and empowerment for the community. It was amid this bustling activity that the final pieces of our new life began to fall into place. One particularly busy afternoon, as the salon hummed with the energy of clients and staff, Georgia walked in, her presence commanding immediate attention. Her face bore a smile, a rare sight that signaled news of significant import. "Lorraine, we've done it," Georgia announced, her voice brimming with triumph. "The divorce settlement is final, and the terms are highly favorable. You've secured full custody of Elise, and Derek's financial obligations are substantial. It's more than just a win. It's a landslide." The salon fell into a momentary hush, the significance of her words hanging in the air. Then, as the reality of the victory sank in, the space erupted into cheers and applause. Maxine rushed over, her expression a mix of joy and relief. "You fought so hard for this, Lorraine. This victory, it's everything," Maxine said, her voice thick with emotion as she hugged me tightly. "It's not just my victory, Maxine. It's ours. Every woman who has ever faced betrayal and stood up to reclaim her life," I replied, my eyes scanning the room, meeting the gazes of those who had supported us, their faces alight with shared triumph. Later that evening, as the celebrations quieted down, Elise and I found a moment of solitude. Sitting together, surrounded by the remnants of the party, the weight of our journey settled around us, a tangible reminder of the obstacles we had overcome. "Mom, what now?" Elise asked, her voice soft, a hint of uncertainty mingling with the hope in her eyes. "Now, we live, Elise. We build our future, free from Derek's shadow. We've been given a chance to start anew, and we're going to make the most of it," I said, my hand finding hers, our connection a constant source of strength. The days turned into weeks, and the salon continued to flourish. With Derek's influence a distant memory, we focused on building a life marked by joy, success, and the empowerment of those around us. The community's support was unwavering, their loyalty a testament to the bonds we had forged. One afternoon, a new client walked into the salon, her arrival sparking a curiosity among the staff. She was a young woman, her demeanor one of quiet determination. As I greeted her, I recognized a familiar fire in her eyes, the same fire that had driven me to reclaim my life. "I've heard your story, Lorraine, how you turned pain into power. I'm here because I need to make a change in my life, and I didn't know where else to turn," she said, her voice steady, revealing a strength that belied her calm exterior. In her words, I saw the beginning of a new chapter, not just for her, but for the salon. We had become more than a business. We were a beacon of hope, a place where transformation began, not just on the outside, but from within. As I led her to my station, I realized that our story had come full circle. From the ashes of our past, we had risen, stronger and more determined than ever. Derek's betrayal, once a source of unimaginable pain, had become the catalyst for a new beginning, one marked by triumph, empowerment, and the promise of new beginnings. The salon, once a simple business venture, was now a testament to our journey, a journey from betrayal to victory, from despair to empowerment. And as I looked around at the faces of those who had supported us, those who had stood by us through the darkest of times, I knew that this was just the beginning. Our story was one of many, but it was a beacon, a shining example of what could be achieved when one refused to be defined by the actions of another. In this newfound freedom, in this victory, we had not only reclaimed our lives, but had paved the way for others to do the same. And so, as the sun set on another day, I closed the salon, a sense of peace and purpose settling in my heart. We had faced the fallout of Derek's actions and emerged victorious, our future bright with the promise of new horizons. This was our victory, a triumph not just of circumstance, but of spirit, a victory that would echo far beyond the walls of Lorraine's salon, inspiring others to seek their own. The weeks following our victory were filled with a sense of renewal, both for myself and for Elise. The salon, now more than just a business, had become a sanctuary for those seeking not just beauty, but transformation and empowerment. As we navigated this new chapter, our lives were a testament to the strength found in overcoming adversity. One sunny morning, as I opened the salon, I found a small crowd gathered outside. Among them were women from all walks of life, each with their own story, their own struggles. They were drawn not just by the services we offered, but by the story of resilience and hope that Lorraine's salon represented. As I greeted them, a sense of community filled the air, a reminder of how far we had come. Welcome, everyone. Today isn't just another day, it's a celebration of new beginnings, I announced, my voice carrying the weight of our journey. Inside, the salon buzzed with activity. Laughter and stories filled the space, each client not just a customer, but a part of our extended family. Amidst the whirl of activity, Elise worked alongside me, her confidence and skill a source of immense pride. "Mom, look at what we've built. It's incredible," Elise said, her eyes scanning the vibrant salon, a smile playing on her lips. "It is, Elise, and it's just the beginning," I replied, my heart full of hope for the future we were building together. As the day wore on, a familiar face walked through the door. It was Georgia, her arrival always a harbinger of news, but today her smile spoke of celebrations, not challenges. "Lorraine, I just came by to see the miracle you've created here. This place, it's more than a salon. It's a beacon of hope," Georgia said, her eyes reflecting the warmth and energy that filled the room. "Thanks to your help, Georgia. We couldn't have done it without you," I said, acknowledging her crucial role in our journey. Our conversation was interrupted by the arrival of a new client, a woman whose hesitant steps and downcast eyes spoke volumes of the burdens she carried. As she approached, I recognized the look of someone at the crossroads of change. "I heard this was a place where you could start over. I need that. A new beginning," she whispered, her voice laced with a mix of hope and fear. "You've come to the right place. Here, we don't just change appearances, we help change lives. Let's start your transformation," I replied, guiding her to a chair, ready to embark on another journey of empowerment. As the day turned into evening and the clients filtered out, leaving behind stories of change and renewal, I sat down with Elise. The salon, quiet now, was filled with the echoes of the day's laughter and conversations. "Elise, this salon, our story, it's become so much more than I ever imagined. We've created a place of healing, of strength," I mused, looking around at the walls that had witnessed so much change. "Yeah, Mom, it's like we've built a new foundation, not just for us, but for everyone who walks through that door. It's pretty amazing," Elise agreed, her gaze meeting mine, a shared understanding of the impact we had made. In the silence that followed, a profound sense of accomplishment settled over us. We had not only navigated the fallout of Derek's betrayal, but had emerged stronger, transforming our pain into a purpose that extended beyond our own lives. As we locked up the salon, stepping out into the cool evening air, I looked back at the place that had become a symbol of our journey. Lorraine's salon was more than just a business. It was a place where new beginnings were born, where hope was renewed, and where the strength of the human spirit was celebrated. Walking home with Elise by my side, I realized that our story, marked by trials and triumphs, was a testament to the resilience of the heart. We had not only survived, we had thrived, building a new foundation on which to grow and inspire others. And as the stars began to twinkle in the night sky, I knew that our future was bright, filled with endless possibilities. This was not the end of our story, but the beginning of a new chapter, one where every challenge was an opportunity and every setback a stepping stone to greater heights. This was our new foundation, built on hope, strength, and the unwavering belief in the power of new beginnings.